Now, in this week ahead, and we're going from the full moon in Aries right the way through to the third quarter moon phase in Cancer. So we're going from this kind of warm, actually warm's not the right word, scorching, scorching full moon, right the way to this beautiful, nurturing, third quarter moon phase. And, to me, this is us softening into wisdom as the week goes on. Now, this is particularly testing, I would say, for you, because the full moon is going across the 4th and the 10th house polarity for you. So we'll get into that in a second. But one of the themes that I really think is a big one is about permission, asking for permission rather than coming into self-trust and self-agency. Like the idea of not allowing anything around you to overwhelm you. And so that's what I'm really looking at these, this forecast from the perspective of. So hopefully it'll be very practical. That's my aim. Anyway, stick around and you'll find out. Before I go any further, I'm just going to quickly say thank you. My slides aren't coming onto the screen though. Hang on a second. What's going on? There they are. So I'm just going to say thank you to everybody who contributes to this channel and helps to support me, whether you've offered me historical support, if you're supporting me right now. I really appreciate you. My channel is the way it is because of you, so thank you. So here's the big question where I'm going to start things off, Capricorn, and that is, where in my life do I need to stop waiting for permission and start acting from self-trust? So that's what we're going to come to over the course of this next 15 minutes. So please do stick around, because I will definitely come back here. This is where I'm ending it. Now, this is the first chart, the full moon in Aries chart, and this is where it is at the third quarter. So you'll see that the moon is going from Aries down here in your 4th house, and it's ending in the sign of Cancer. So we're going from the 4th to the 7th house, and the full moon is across the 4th and the 10th house. These are all the angular houses. These are really important houses, the 4th, the 7th, the 10th. This is your home, your relationship, and your career. It almost doesn't get more important than that. So this to me is a very important week, from start to finish. And this full moon in Aries, it's on the same day when Mercury goes into an exact square with Pluto. And you'll see that Pluto's in the 2nd house, and it's going to be there for a long time, actually, about another 18 and a half years. But Pluto in the 2nd house is, I think, creating a bit of a disturbance and disruption in terms of your money, how you manage your money, what your strategy for money is over, and all resources, for the next 10, 20 years of your life. And it can also be quite sort of disruptive in terms of your self-belief and your self-worth. It's a time when you'll be radically transforming, for sure, hopefully in the ways of gaining in confidence. I would say after Pluto goes through the 1st house, it usually does raise us up quite a level. But Mercury here in the 11th, in a square to Pluto in the 2nd, to me is really speaking of where you may well find yourself in a situation with sort of friends, networks of friends, and, kind of people outside of your usual kind of circle of trust. But it feels like there are some disruptive influences on the outside that you either don't feel very comfortable around, or feel put down by, or you feel undermined by. And it might not be anything that they're doing to you, but it might just be that they're triggering something in you. Now, Pluto is in opposition to Jupiter, which is in your 7th house, and Jupiter in your 7th house is really seen as a blessing. It's there to show that you've got lots of opportunities and lots of great people around you really trying to help you. But when Jupiter's in an opposition to Pluto, that makes sometimes the help feel a little less helpful. It almost feels like there's a bind in there. Now, normally, I would say Pluto here is really showing where there's somebody controlling you, and Jupiter here is showing where you might want to get sovereign. And yeah, there's some elements of that, but Jupiter in this position is also showing the people in your life versus where you are. So you might find that the people in your life are trying to get you to lighten up a bit and try to relax a little bit, like relax your standards a little bit, and to to not take life quite so seriously as you really are at the moment. And Pluto here is really showing your level of control and mastery, and your decisions to work as hard as you are, your decisions to commit to the things that you're doing. And so you might find that that sort of influence of the people in your life is actually really distracting, is putting you off your mission. And then, all these people out there are also, it feels like people are just kind of chiming in around you, as if they know what's going on for you. And of course, I lived with someone, I lived with a Capricorn for 11 years. And, I know full well the mistake of assuming you know what's going on for them. No disrespect to you at all. I love Capricorns so much. So, yeah, Pluto here to me is really showing where you're being, or you're feeling like people aren't taking you seriously at a time when you're really taking yourself seriously. And so it's probably very irritating. And of course, the moon in this full moon position is going to be coming into a square with Chiron, literally the sort of day of the full moon and a little bit beyond there. The moon in a conjunction with Chiron is going to be emphasizing this. And of course, Chiron and the moon in the fourth house feels like people at home, your partners and close friends, and then connections. Just feels like you're kind of doing it on your own, and how difficult it is. My advice here is to, I'm going to go straight into it actually. This is where I was coming to at the end of the video, but like, where in my life do I need to stop waiting for permission and start acting from self-trust? Do you know what, as awful as it sounds or difficult as it sounds, I think it's time to say, look, this feels like interference. I know you're coming from a good place. I really feel that you're coming from a good place. But my experience of this is that you're interfering with my plans. And right now I'm exploring that I know what's best for me. And I would like you to stop. And so that could very well blow things up at home quite a bit, especially if you're family and friends in this like Jupiter Cancer area. They seem a lot more emotional, a lot more expressed in their emotions, a lot more invested in their emotional stories. And of course, it may well feel like you're being cold. And far be it from me to sort of give you advice that's going to blow it up. I really think what's really going on is not a lack of respect. I don't think they don't respect you. I think they don't understand your need to work as hard as you do, or to invest as much as you invest in things. Your approach to life is absolutely very different to everybody else's. That sort of Capricornian energy that allows you to like climb slowly and, climb faster and faster as you want, but you're prepared to climb slowly, which is what a lot of people aren't prepared to do. And that's why nobody ever like achieves in the way that you do, because you're prepared to do the long term. And other people, especially like people with the sort of, this Jupiter in Cancer, they can't see over, the next hurdle. They can't see beyond that. They're stuck in the history of how things have gone in the past, and they can't see as far as you can. And so what would help, I think, is to either keep yourself to yourself a little bit and ask politely for people to just give you some time and space, that you're working on something and it needs your full attention, and that you'll be back into the flow of things just when you feel like it's okay to. But to me, if it's almost like you're being bullied with goodness and love, and like people are putting their love over your need to have things work in the way that you want. And that must be annoying, because love always seems to get the upper hand. And I have to say, I'm really surprised I'm sharing this message, because from my perspective, I'm always like, oh, love, it's all about love. But right now I can really feel into the seriousness of what you're trying to do. Now, what I will share with you as well is that this is going to pass. This is going to pass quite quickly. Mercury is very fast moving. And by the end of the week, Mercury and Mars are out of this nasty old square to Pluto in your second house. And so you'll feel a lot less stressed by people butting their nose in and telling you how you need to do it. Now, Saturn, your ruling planet, is also coming into, or Venus is coming into an opposition with it on the 11th. And so this might be another time when you're feeling quite pressured to do things in a particular way. Now, again, I would advise you to connect into that sort of very serious, high level sort of tortoise and the hare story that you have, that you're not in a race or a sprint, you're in like a slow jog to your finish line. There's no rush. And so, you know, the Venus in opposition to Saturn, you might find around that day that you're feeling quite sort of disconnected, and that it's hard to sort of reconnect. And because you're feeling a little bit disconnected, you might feel a little bit like you're lacking confidence, or maybe that the people around you are giving you a bit of a wide berth, and that's having a knock-on effect. Again, I want you to understand that this is going to change quite quickly. You know, Venus is going to come out of this, and actually by the 13th, when she goes into your 10th house, into the sign of Libra, she's in her own sign, and she's indicating that you're coming into a spell where it feels really quite comfortable with your career. So I guess what I'm saying is, you know, at the start of this new week, from the full moon in Aries, it feels like you're knuckling down to something that's going to reap rewards come next week. And you might feel a little bit worn out around the 11th and 12th, and maybe that might be the time when you take a bit of a break. So you might say early on, this is when I'm going to work, but around the 11th and 12th, I'm going to take a bit of a break. I'd like to spend some time with you. That's when, you know, the moon, you know, the moon is coming into the sign of Cancer. I'd like to spend some time with you, but, you know, right now I need to crack on. I need to be left alone, left to my own devices. And yeah, that's kind of how it is. Now, again, this might sound sort of difficult to manage, but and if we go back to Mars, you'll see like Mars in the sign of Scorpio is quite helpful. You know, so your Pluto plans that you've been trying to bring into place, this is part of a much sort of longer consideration. And in the last couple of weeks, Mars has been in a square to Pluto, which is very difficult. You know, our energies tend to flag, and we tend to get a lot of delays, especially, you know, from people you might be collaborating with. It probably would have like taken the wind out of your sails. And so, yeah, people around you may well have thought, oh, maybe it's time to give up on this, you know. But I really get that it feels like the wind has just gone back in your sails. You're giving it another go. And you're ready to take yourself seriously again. And I don't think you should underestimate that. So coming to those questions again, where in my life do I need to stop waiting for permission and start acting from self-trust? That is it. To trust that your relationships will be okay, even if you follow your own path. Your friendships will be okay, even if you follow your own path. Your life will be okay. Your home will be okay, even if you follow your own path. And anywhere in your life where your life isn't set up to allow you to slip into moments of following your own path, it shows where you've come out of alignment. You know, it's really showing where there's sort of communication that needs to happen. Now, if I believed I was enough, what new possibility would I allow myself to explore? I'm going to go to the sense of communication about this. You see, on the day of the full moon, and the day when Mercury is in a square to Pluto, it can make the communication quite choppy, but it could also really reveal some quite helpful things. See, there's a yod going from Uranus in the 6th house, which is really showing where there's a push to do things in a very new way in terms of your work, your flow, possible technology. There's a lot of exciting new things coming up. And then there's a yod coming, or a quincunx coming from Saturn and Neptune across your 3rd and 4th house. To me, this is just showing where there are traditional ideas as to how you're supposed to interact at home, and some almost like ideological ideas of what home means. And like these two pressures are kind of, to me, it's almost like a water cannon. It's like pushing out this like need to communicate. And so I really think if you felt you were enough, what new possibility would you allow yourself to explore? And I think that's to be able to communicate all of this to your loved ones, your nearest and dearest, in a way that was so compelling that you were able to, I don't know, sort of express what your needs are. Now, it's a funny one. One of the things that I think is a bit of a dark side or a shadow side with Capricorn is they're not very good at expressing their needs. And so to me, this is the crux of, if I believed I was enough, what new possibility would I allow myself to explore? And that is having your needs fully met, not coming from you demanding them, but coming from an understanding that you've reached with the people around you, and coming from trust. And again, if you're in a place of self-trust, the people around you are going to start to trust you. So to me, this is, how can you get to a place of trusting that your needs can be met, and then trusting life to do that? So this feels kind of pretty deep there. I hope that's helpful in understanding what's going on, Capricorn. So yeah, if this has spoken to you, if this has kind of stopped you in your tracks and got you ready for the week ahead, then good. I'm really, really pleased. And if you would like more of this, if you're left wanting more, then, check out my membership. I do Monday to Friday forecasts, which can be a little bit zany, but they can also be very useful. I also do weekly love forecasts for each sign of the zodiac, and also money, career and ambition ones. Or if you'd like me to explore your chart with you or without you, then just get in touch. All of my details are below. You literally can just book directly into my diary. Just invite me. It's very, very simple. So thanks for joining me today. I hope this has been an eye-opener for you, and maybe catch you next time. And we can continue this story that's been started today, because it's going to get even more exciting when Venus goes into your 10th house. So lots of love, and